In my quest to debunk many more resume myths and disprove supposed resume rules, I'm going to spill some more resume tea. In this video, I'm going to clear up some more resume worries that you might be stressing about so that you can get back to focusing on the most important part of resume writing, and that's the actual writing part. If you want weekly tips, advice, and tricks for your job search that will help you land interviews faster, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and also turn on the bell to get notifications. I post a new video every Tuesday and go live every Thursday with free training and webinars. My videos will provide you with some valuable tools that will make your job search easier, because job searching shouldn't be this hard. I'm Kamara Toffolo, resume writer, LinkedIn consultant, and job search strategist who helps working professionals dare to do work differently and land great fitting gigs. The first resume rule that I'd like to blow some holes into is that you need to include every keyword, every phrase, everything that shows up in the job ad in your resume. While keywords are helpful, you don't want your resume to be a regurgitation of the job ad. That won't read very well or naturally. Your resume is going to be read by a human. So keywords, they're going to help that human search for you. But overdoing it with the keywords, which is a real possibility, can be a red flag to the reader. They'll wonder if your qualifications are actually legitimate or if you're just keyword jamming. So don't go and break out a word cloud to uncover the most commonly used keywords in a job posting. Instead, review job postings closely, scrutinize them, and notice which keywords jump out to you. Which of these keywords actually align with your own skills, your own strengths, and your own qualifications? Insert the keywords into your resume that you actually embody in your own skill set and in your own characteristics. Back up these keywords with actual accomplishments that show that you've demonstrated these skills and strengths. I talk more about keywords and how they affect the applicant tracking system or the ATS or the resume screening software, whatever you want to call it, that hiring folks use to actually do their hiring. And I talk about that in the ATS video that I made recently, which I've linked in the description below. The next rule that I'd like to vaporize is that you need to cut short-term jobs. In my last video where I was debunking a bunch of resume myths and supposed rules, which I've also linked in the description below, I talked about why you definitely don't want to cut what you think is irrelevant work experience. Similarly, you don't want to cut short-term jobs merely for the fact that they were short-term. When you cut work experience, you risk creating career gaps for yourself. Instead of cutting work experience, you need to reframe that work experience in a way that makes sense towards your target direction. A few videos ago, I created a video tutorial on how to address short-term jobs on your resume. I've linked it in the description below. While we're on the topic of not cutting work experience, if you are a more experienced professional with, say, 20 years or more of work experience, you may have received some advice that you need to chop any work experience that predates 15 years. You don't want to do this. This advice is intended to help you look less old. But the thing is when we're more experienced, we typically are going for more senior roles. We don't want to lose that early part of the story. If we do, we run the risk of showing our first job out of school as something like manager. That doesn't make sense, and that's not realistic. Instead of cutting entire chunks of work experience, consider using an early career highlights section where you're just going to highlight the best accomplishments from that earlier time in your career. And you can go ahead and cut the dates when you do so. But you really want to make sure that you're honoring how you got your start. Is this making sense so far? If it is, give me a thumbs up in the comments below. The next supposed rule that you may have heard is that your resume needs to be visually appealing in order to stand out. This is also not true. You need to have a strategic and well-written resume in order to stand out. You need to showcase the important results, accomplishments, and outcomes that make sense to where you're headed and reinforce the strengths and value that you can bring to where you're headed. Take a look at the video in the description below where I talk about how resume templates ain't it. Hiring folks can see through visually fancy resume templates very quickly. You'll also want to check out a couple of the resume formatting training videos I linked in the description below, where I walk you through a very simple structure. The next rule that you may have heard may have created some job search craziness for you, and that's the rule that you need to have multiple versions of your resume. Well, you need to be customizing different components of your resume with each job application. You shouldn't have to have separate versions of your resume. Why exactly? Because if you have separate versions of your resume, that's usually a symptom of a bigger problem. And that problem is that you aren't actually clear on what job you're targeting. A job search happens in this order. First, you identify your target job. Then you write your resume, and then you apply. You cannot apply without writing your resume, and you can't write your resume before you figure out what you're targeting. This doesn't mean that your target job has to be your dream job. It can be a bridge job, it can be something temporary to help you make ends meet. Whatever the job is, you need to be clear on what it is so that you can write your resume towards that target. If you're struggling with identifying what job you actually want to go after, check out the video I linked in the description below where I interviewed best-selling author and career expert Kristen Sherry. She's the author of UMAP, which is a great book that I recommend anybody picks up if they're having a difficult time figuring out what's next for them in their career. So that's a few more resume myths debunked and resume rules disproven. So here's my cue for you. What are some resume rules that you've really wondered about? Tell me in the comments below. I make a lot of job search videos, posting every Tuesday and going live every Thursday. But I also make free guides for your job search. If you'd like to get my free cover letter guide and checklist, look for the sign up link in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like, share it with a friend, and click on my face. Pretty sure it's over there. And subscribe. And I'll see you next time.